Brother and Sister Christ, this is the day Lord has made. We'll rejoice and be glad in it. Today we're gonna do a little something different. I'm gonna get into y'all what the Lord got me into. Well, He always has us into stuff. But this morning, in my past videos, the Lord been telling me about fire, and then He sent me to Revelation, telling me about the two witnesses with fire. That they're gonna have the two witnesses. And after I got with that, the Lord had me to go get my Torah, right? So as I'm reading my Torah, got in my Torah, He had me to go to this. And this is talk about Moses in Egypt. Because when the Red Sea, when the Lord's talking about people in Egypt going through the wilderness. And yesterday, I was looking at on a sister's video, told us something about Moses, with people get caught up in the Red Sea. Something with the Red Sea. So let's get into this, because I'm going to get in my Torah and right quick, and then I'm going to get into what the Lord gave us. And because also, Lord talking about His tribes, and we're in military, we're army, but so many people of the Lord talking about His people done left Him, and He done took them out of Egypt, and they want to go back to Egypt. But let me get this, because I don't want to miss out on what He got me at right now. So I'm going to read this part in the Torah, right? And then I'm going to get to that. We hear Moses, typically called the divine warrior, to return from victory over Israel's enemy. Return, O Yahweh, of the 10,000 thousands of Israel. Yet immediately, and this number 111-11 was confronted with the typical whole second unit. Now the people complained in the hearing of Yahweh about their misfortune. See, complaining. It is significant that this otherwise obscure incident was placed here at the beginning of the second unit. In the etiology of the place name Tabor, but it does not tell us what misfortune is the subject of the people's complaint. Thus, what internally is already puzzling become a content completely inexplicable and divine judgment that follows is not surprising. Look, I'm talking about divine judgment. Finally, the intercessory role of Moses is also crucial. Only his intervention prevent Yahweh fiery wrath from involving the entire camp. This brief and enigmatic passage does function as a paradigm for the story that follows. Israel complains. Look, Israel complained. Moses intervened. Yahweh cared. Illicit or a righteous indignation. Fruital. But let me get to this. I'm gonna read this part because this what got me about with the people in Egypt. After the introductory episode, the narrative takes on as much more serious quality for the people. Question and accuracy of the gracious gift of Yahweh implicitly charged to Moses' mission has failed. They are tired of the manna, the bread of heaven, that Yahweh has provided for his substance. See Exodus 16. So we're going to go to Exodus 16. But they're tired of the bread of heaven, the word of the Lord and what God gives them. They fool, they complain. They ungrateful. So let's go to this. It says go to Exodus 16. Okay. And they journeyed from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai. On the 15th day of the second month, they departed from the land of Egypt. Then the whole congregation of the children of Israel complained about Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. And the children of Israel said to them, "Oh, that we have died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat at the pots of the meat, at the pots of meat, and we when we sat at the pots of meat, and when we ate bread to be full. For you have brought us out into the wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people should go out and gather certain quotas every day, that I may test them, whether they will walk in my law or not." See? "And it shall be on the 6th day that they shall prepare what they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily." They would have to go out there. The Lord said he test them, but they faith too. Then Moses and Aaron said to all the children of Israel, "At evening you shall know that the Lord has brought you out of the land of Egypt, and in the morning you shall see the glory of the Lord, for he hears your complaints against the Lord. But what are we that you complain against us?" Also Moses said, "This shall be seen when the Lord gives you meat to eat in the evening, and in the morning bread to be full. For the Lord hears your complaints which you made against him, and what are we? Your complaints are not against us, but against the Lord." Then Moses spoke to Aaron, saying to all the congregation of children of Israel, "Come near before the Lord, for he has heard your complaints." Now it came to pass, as Aaron spoke to the whole congregation of the children of Israel, that they looked towards the wilderness, and behold, the glory of the Lord appeared in a cloud. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, I have heard the complaints of the children of Israel. Speak to them, saying, at twilight you should eat meat, and in the morning you should fill with bread. And you should know that I am the Lord your God. So it was that the quail came at the evening and covered the camp, and in the morning the dew laid all around the camp. And when the layers of the dew lifted, there on the surface of the wilderness was a small round substance, as fine as frost on the ground. So when the children of Israel saw it, they said to one another, What is this? And for they did not know what it was. And Moses said to them, This is the bread which the Lord has given you to eat. This is the thing which the Lord has commanded. Let every man gather it according to his own, to each one needs. One a mere from each person, according to the number of persons. Let every man take for those who are in his tent. Then the children of Israel did so, and gathered some more, some less. So when they measured it by omers, he also gathered much, has nothing left over. He who gathered little had no lack. Every man has gathered according to each one needs. And Moses said, let no one leave any of it till morning. Notwithstanding, they did not heed Moses, but some of them left part of it until the morning, and it bred worms and stank. And Moses was angry with them. So they gathered it every morning, every man according to his need. And then the sun came hot, and it melted. So it was on the 6th day that they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for each one. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. Then he said to them, This is what the Lord has said. Tomorrow is the Sabbath rest, holy Sabbath to the Lord. Bake what you will bake today, and boil what you will boil, and lay up for yourselves all the remains, and be kept until morning. So they laid it up till morning, and Moses commanded, and it did not stink, nor were there any worms in it. Then Moses said, Eat it today. Eat that today, for tomorrow is Sabbath to the Lord. Today you will find in the field. You will not find it in the field. 6 days you shall gather it, but on the 7th day, the Sabbath, there will be none. Now it happened that some of the people were out of the 7th day to gather, but they found none. And the Lord said to Moses, They disobedient, ain't listen. How long do you refuse to keep my commandments and my laws? See, for the Lord has given you the Sabbath. Therefore he gives you the 6-day bread in 2 days. But then the Lord said he was going to test them. Told them not to even do on the Sabbath. Testing their faith. But they have to be obedient. He gives you the 6-day bread for 2 days. Let every man remain in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the 7th day. So the people rested on the 7th day. And the house of Israel called it manna. And it was like white cordial seeds, and tasted so the taste of it was like wafers made with honey. Hold on. Tastes like honey. Then Moses said, this is the thing which the Lord commanded. Fill in a mirror with it, and to be kept for your generations, that they may see the bread which I fed you in the wilderness, when I brought you out of the land of Egypt. And Moses said to Aaron, take a pot and put a mirror of manna in it, and lay it up before the Lord to be kept for your generations. And the Lord commanded Moses. So Aaron laid it up before the testimony to be kept. And the children of Israel ate manna 40 years until they came to an inhabited land. They ate manna until they came to the border of the land of Canaan. And the mirror in the now an amir is 1/10 of the ephah. Oh, y'all, let me see this. Lord gave me revelation this morning. 11. Let me see if I got it in this one. Because he gave me about the 2 witnesses. But before that, he gave me, when it said a wafer and sweet, that got me thinking back. The Lord gave me Revelation 10. And this what got me. Then I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it. And it was sweet as honey in my mouth. But when I had eaten it, my stomach became bitter. And he said to me, you must prophesy again about many people, nations, tongues, and kings. So when that says sweet, like honey, that got me thinking back like when he said about the manna, the bread of life. Because he told the people, look, and the house of Israel called it the name manna, and it was like white cordial seed. And the taste of it was like wafers made with honey. That took me back to that when I read that this morning. It's talking about this, how he had in Revelations, when John ate the little book. Yeah, I don't know. That just brought that back to me with that. Okay, now we're going back to the Torah, y'all. And so it says, we read through Exodus 16. Now they want a good steak. Because he gave, look, now they want a good steak. Who would give us meat to eat? Moreover, the bland and Spartan diet of the wilderness make them long for the succulent vegetables and substyle flavor of Egyptian cuisine. So they got tired of what God was giving them in the wilderness. Even just not the food, but the word of the Lord. The laws and commandments. God already told us in Exodus 16 that he told Moses he won't test them. And see if they're going to apply by God's law. Because he told them that don't even go out and pick or nothing for the Sabbath to rest. So they didn't even follow his law. But he said, look at this. Apparently those who are now free but poorly fed would rather be slaves and well fed. Look, the same thing the Lord says. He said some people free. He said people free in Egypt. Even though some are free, they are now free. Apparently those who are free but poorly fed would rather be slaves and well fed. Surely it's better for us in Egypt. But the thing is, not even they complaining about the food that they eat, but they rather go, they free, the Lord them freed them, and they rather go back to Egypt. Because they don't want to hear the word of the Lord. They got interested in other stuff in Egypt, but they were doing sinful. They'd rather go and live in sinful acts and be greedy and eat all the sins, be free in all their sins. The Lord them freed them from sin. They'd rather go back and water and mess. Because they think the grass is green on the other side. That's what God mean. It says, surely it was better for us in Egypt. Fear of the wilderness and the unsustainable need for food has arose a romantic idolization of the past. Fear has blinded them from seeing Yahweh's presence, resulting in the unthinking restoration of divine grace. God's grace. Here go talking about his grace again. And Moses rightly uncovered the theological dimensions of their complaints. You have rejected Yahweh who is among you, saying, why did we come out of Egypt? Nevertheless, the people nevertheless, people rebellion here is only only expressed in the form of surely questioning, and thus at this stage is presented only to foreshadowing what is to come. If the people curious refuse to recognize divine grace has a familiar ring to it, then we got to go to Exodus 14, 10 to 12. God's grace. That's why I said people yesterday, Lord, look at the Lord giving us again. The Lord told me people take advantage of his grace and his love and his mercy. But God freed them from Egypt. They didn't want what God gave them. They were so greedy and used and don't want to be free from sins and satisfied with God and have trust in the Lord. They was free and go back to Egypt. But let's read this. Exodus 14, 10, 12. That's what's going on now. Y'all gotta excuse me. 14, 10, 12. Okay, let's go this. And when Pharaoh drew near, the children of Israel lifted their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them. So they were very afraid, and the children of Israel cried out to the Lord. See, they were scared, but God gave them grace. Then they said to Moses, because there were no graves in Egypt, have you taken us away to die in the wilderness? Why have you so dwelt with us to bring us up out of Egypt? Is this not the word that we told you in Egypt, saying, let us alone that we may serve the Egyptians? For it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. They'd rather serve the enemies to die in the wilderness. And they ain't trusting that the Lord take care of them. God's grace, he done brought them up out of it. They'd rather go back. This what's going on now. That's why the Lord said people die in Egypt. But greedy, complaint. Ain't satisfied with what God got for them, and they greed and want the things of the world and go back to Egypt with Pharaoh, Satan. That's why I say people greedy. Ain't satisfied with God give you and want more and more and more. More things of the world, and that leads you up into more sin and things of the world. Hell, you sign your life over to Satan. Go back to Egypt and die there. Okay, let's go here, y'all. So too, does the way it involves Moses' role as a leader? This is the primary focus of the second narrative thread in chapter 11. Moses' appeal to Yahweh in light of the people's complaint is as bold as pathetic. Bold, it's pathetic. And all the food shortage and everything going on, God allowed this. He just said up in here that he was testing people in 16 God said he would separate the wheat from the tare. But it's people. He set free. But some of them, rather, they so greedy and love the sinful life of the world, would rather go back to the world. And God gave them grace to leave. Yeah. But he said it's pathetic. It says the Yahweh, in light of the people's complaint, is as bold as it is pathetic. Why have you threatened your servant so badly? Why have I not found favor in your sight that you lay the burdens on all your people on me? This was guess Moses talking to the Lord. Let's go to Exodus 5 through 5. Exodus 5. Exodus 5, 22 to 23. 22 to 23. Here we go right here. So Moses returned to the Lord and said, Lord, why have you brought trouble on this people? Why is it that you have sent me? For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people. Neither you delivered your people at all. Hold on. For since I have came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people. Neither have you delivered your people at all. Then the Lord said to Moses, now you shall see that I will do to Pharaoh, for with a strong hand he will let them go, and with a strong hand he would drive them out of his land. But you know what? Y'all know also what the Lord sent plagues. This got me when the Lord got me with the second witnesses. I mean, with the two witnesses. This got me when the Lord talking about the two witnesses this morning. Plagues. Y'all, look at this. These are the two olive trees. Okay, we're going to go back to. Then I would give power to my two witnesses, and they will prophesy 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth. Then the two olive trees and the two lampstands standing before God of the earth. And if anyone wants to harm them, fire proceeds from their mouth and devours their enemies. And if anyone wants to harm them, he must be killed in this manner. These have power to shut heaven, so that no rain falls in days of their prophecies, and they have power over water to turn them into blood and strike the earth with all plagues. See, and the Lord gave plagues in Pharaoh as often as they desire in Egypt with Pharaoh. Y'all see what you see how God be talking to us, y'all. Okay, Moses Lambert has a tour of desperation that we have not seen before, and he closes his appeal with the wish to die. There follows a reformation. There follows a reformation of Moses' leadership, as well as demonstrations of his magnanimity. The cloud appeared at the tent of meeting, and some of the prophetic spirit that resides with Moses is transferred to others. The spirit of the Lord transferred to other people. And then go back to like the Lord said he was, last day he'll pour his spirit on all people, like with Moses. Transferred to others. Precisely how this is to help Moses out of his predicament is not made clear, especially given to the ephemeral nature. See the end. They're telling us about the see of the end of the number. But what is clear is that Moses is the fountainhead of the prophetic spirit. Moreover, Moses affirmed the freedom of the Spirit, to affect people not officially authorized. With the leadership question solved in narrative, then resolved the demand of meat and with vengeance. God has already predicted those hungry for meat will soon grow even more tired of it than they are manna. And sure enough, the quail arrived in abundance, for forming a ring around the camp, some 3 feet deep. Moreover, for those who craving started to rebel, the first bite of meat brings death. Because they was greedy and hungry. They didn't want the word of the Lord, the bread of heaven. They want so greedy, they want meat. First bite of meat is death. The questions surrounding divine presence and human leadership are hardly resolved in chapter 11. Notwithstanding in the quail and the great charismatic awakening. Here the challenge to Moses' leadership is more direct. While the role of Moses' wife is in the incident, remain ambitious, the questions posed for Miriam and Aaron are quite clear. Has Yahweh indeed spoken only through Moses? Has he not spoken through us also? The issues concern authoritative media of revelation. The limitation spokesperson of Yahweh is short and issue similar to chapter 11. The intent of the prophetic office. Indeed, elsewhere, both Aaron and Miriam were identified as prophets in Exodus 7:1-15-20. And their challenges could be accusation of Moses' marriage to a foreign is orthodox. And they talk about Exodus 34. But this is talking about Moses, y'all. And God's just letting you know God speak to other people, got other prophets. But I just wanted to give y'all that this morning because that right there about with Egypt. And that's why I say we're going to take the mark of the beast. This NWO thing's coming, and the Lord sent plagues. He sent plagues through Pharaoh to let his people go. People in Egypt. Same thing Lord keep telling us. And people going back to Egypt. Because we want to be in so much sins and the love of these things of the world, go back to Egypt. Not satisfied with God and have faith and trust in the Lord. Some people like to water in their sins and greed of the world. Get so hungry and greedy, not satisfied and complain. Y'all, and then the Lord got them the second witnesses. The 2 witnesses. And then y'all know what also got me, you know what the Lord has talking about? It's since when Exodus, the second Exodus. And people been talking about the rapture. So when the Lord got me, instead of saying second witness, I meant to say also second Exodus. Because it's also about with the Red Sea and people flee. And people been talking about the rapture. I've been seeing people talking about the rapture and 2 moons. But Lord got me also talking about the second Exodus. Because he got me in Exodus again today. That's why I said this all happening. This is where we in now again. Second Exodus. The second Exodus. God gonna free his people. And then, yesterday, I posted on the community post. It was talking about the rapture too. A movie called Left Behind. And yesterday, the Lord gave me a word talking about faith and about with Enoch was ascended to heaven. Like the Lord said, when you leave, you never know how you gonna leave. He was ascended to heaven. But if your last day here, are you knowing where you gonna go? About the worlds he gave me yesterday. But I'm saying all this together, and he got me in Exodus, the second Exodus. Because when I'm saying second witness, the Lord got me with second Exodus. Y'all, And when I say people going back there, he want to stay in Egypt and God delivering his people. But left behind, and people talking about the rapture with 2 moons, y'all. Let me go back with the second Exodus. Yeah. You know, rolling with Moses. Free God people. Took them out of Egypt. So we in right now. I didn't think the Lord was going to take me to this because I don't even know what this was about. He just had me go into reading something, and it's about Moses. And yesterday, excuse me, it was about Moses, and yesterday, when our sister Bridalways, she's talking about Kurt Franklin on her thing. She told me to go check it out. But also, I checked out one of her videos. She was talking about Moses through the Red Sea. And then the Lord got me again with Moses this morning about this exactly what's going on. People so greedy, they want to stay in Egypt. And the fear, some fearful of so much plagues and stuff, and God told us to prepare. He already told us to prepare. People, that's why the Lord said, don't get distracted. All this fear and stuff, this stuff these people doing, this media and stuff, they put fear in what these evil pharaohs doing. These demons, I call them pharaohs because I'm not talking about pharaoh. They want people to rely on their government. And also in that video, I posted also on community posts about them with them trying, one of this people in the executive office with these Republicans or some, the men was talking about how they's trying to change the voting rights. Because that's why they try to let all the illegal immigrants in there. You know, I don't have nothing against them, but you see the plan of the wicked. So they have them talking about you don't need no identification to vote. So they just want everybody to vote. They have these people thinking they for them and have them all come in and vote for them, thinking they free, and they ain't gonna be nothing but a slave up under the government. Because everybody trying to run to the United States, U.S., and this gonna, the Lord said, Babylon will fall. Thinking that they free and not free because they coming up with this NWO, the government, and they gonna want people to take the mark of the beast. That's what Satan do. He try to make a pretty picture for people. These people leading in their blind and fear. People ain't trusting on the Lord. But the God people, his army, his military, that's what God say backslide. He don't free the people. They still going back to sin flags, going back to Egypt. And don't want what God gave us, ain't satisfied what God give us. They want more. And be a slave. Going back to be a slave. And some free and willing to go back, and some just scared and stay there. Still the same thing the Lord tell us. He got me into this morning. I have to get this to y'all. And they want to blame everybody. Like they want to blame Moses because he led them. You can't blame that man. You give from the word of the Lord. The Lord giving people to get a word out to folks, but they don't want to pay attention. That's why people want to go for the riches of this world. That's going to get you caught up. No. Anything the Lord else for Michelle. That's what the sins within. What they fall victim. That's what the Lord said, they be tested. If you don't go into the flesh, you be tempted. Y'all, I gave y'all this morning. Let's see what the Lord got me into this morning. But it took me way back to Exodus. They want meat, greedy. The Lord gave them meat. Egyptian. They want different gods. They want their God and all this. They don't turn their back on the Lord. Ain't even keeping this day holy. And that's what God said the other day. People think Jesus Christ said you can't straddle the fence. You can't be saying you walk with the Lord and then you still doing sinful acts. They went back to Egypt. Want these other gods they worshiping and the money and cars and everything else. They other gods. Y'all be blessed in Jesus' name. Worship his holy name, y'all.